What's up, you guys? It's me again, and welcome back to my channel. I'm in a good mood today. I'm just, for some reason, just smiling. Well, how you guys doing today? Because I know I'm doing good. So, this time we're going to be watching Hachishackusama. Well, shout out to Rocket Rowan for subscribing and for recommending this one. So, without further ado, and this is by Snarl, of course. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
There's something dangerous abducting children in this area. Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary? You've heard of the Slender Man, but have you heard of the tall, slender woman?
No.
This next chapter is a Japanese urban legend called Hachishackusama, which means 8 feet tall.
Let me find out that Slender Man's
My
wife.
grandparents lived in a small village in Japan. Every summer, my parents would take me there on holiday to visit them. The last time I saw them was the summer when I was 8 years old. My grandparents were inside the house, and I was playing by myself outside in the backyard. I heard a strange sound. I didn't know what it was, and it was hard to figure out where it was coming from. I was looking around, searching for the source of the noise, when I noticed something on top of the tall hedges that enclosed the backyard. It was a straw hat. It wasn't resting on the hedge, it was behind it. That's where the sound was coming from. Then the hat began to move. It stopped at a small gap in the hedge, and I could see a face peering through. It was a woman, but the hedges were high, almost 8 feet tall. I was surprised at how tall the woman was. I wondered if she was wearing stilts or some sort of huge high-heeled shoes. Then, a split second later, she walked off, and the strange noise disappeared with her, fading into the distance. Confused, I got up and ran back into the house. My grandparents were in the kitchen drinking tea.
That's scary. That sound that they made saying boom, boom, boom. It's like, I can't even explain it. It's like somebody banging your door or something like that. I don't know, like an echo. Which, that's really aggravating. Well, that's kind of creepy.
I sat down at the table and told my grandparents what I had seen. They weren't really paying attention to me until I mentioned that distinctive sound. They both froze.
How you make the same sound? How can you make the same sound? That's what I want to know. Shoot, I want to learn some technique. Well, I'm just playing, but shoot. I'll see. Look, okay. See how they looking? Now they gonna look when she mentioned that noise. Shoot.
Grandma's eyes grew wide and she covered her mouth with her hand. Grandpa's face became very serious and he grabbed me by the arm. This is very important, he said, very intensely. How tall was she?
I don't know.
As tall as the garden hedge? Where was she standing?
I don't know.
When did this happen?
I don't
What
know.
did you do? Did she see you? I tried to answer all his questions as best as I could. He rushed out to the hallway and made a phone call. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but after he hung up, he walked out the door. Grandma, what's going on? There's something dangerous abducting children in this area, she said. We call it Hachishackusama. It takes on the appearance of an extremely tall woman and says, in a deep voice. A long time ago, it was captured by monks and they managed to confine it in a ruined building on the outskirts of the village. They trapped it using 4 jizo, small religious statues that they placed at the north, south, east, and west of the ruins so that it could not escape. But somehow, it did. The last time it appeared was 15 years ago. My grandmother said that anyone who saw it was destined to die within a few days. It all sounded so crazy. I wasn't sure what to believe. Just then, my grandpa came back, but...
Oh, that's wrong. That is wrong. Okay, if you see her and then you die within 3 weeks, whatever she said, that's not fair. That's like she's a child. That's wrong. That is wrong. I couldn't. I'll literally be scarred. I can't. If somebody tell me like she look like, I don't know, she's like 6, 12, I don't know. But like if I'm like that young and I just saw something and then my grandparents telling me that whoever sees this died next week, whatever, what, I'm just gonna continue. I'm bad at talking.
With an old woman who called herself Kason. They took me upstairs to my bedroom and began covering the windows with newspaper, with ancient runes written all over them. Kason placed small bowls of salt in all 4 corners of the room and a small Buddha figure in the center.
Soon the sun will be setting, so listen carefully. You must stay in this room until 7:30 tomorrow morning. Do not open this door for any reason.
She placed a bucket in my hands.
Not even to use the restroom.
My grandparents and Kason left the room, and I locked the door after them. I couldn't believe what was happening. Was I really going to die in a few days? I turned on the TV to try to take my mind off everything, and eventually fell asleep. I was awakened around 1 a.m. by a tapping sound on the window. It's probably just a tree or something, I told myself. Then came a knock on the door, and I heard my grandpa's voice. Are you okay in there? If you're scared, I can come keep you company. Hearing his voice was such a relief that without thinking, I rushed over to the door. But something didn't feel right. I looked at the bowls of salt in the room. All 4 of them had turned black. And then I heard the sound again. The tapping on the window continued. I knelt in front of the Buddha and began to pray. I was so terrified and caught up in my chanting that I didn't realize the sounds had stopped. I checked my watch. It was 7:30 a.m.
Bust out.
Carefully, I opened the door and ran to my grandparents. We all got in a van and headed straight for the airport. Apparently, there were others who had escaped the grasp of Hachishackusama as long as they never stepped foot in Japan again. So 2 years ago, when my grandpa got sick, he refused to let me visit him. He even left strict instructions in his will to not let me attend his funeral. I couldn't believe that this creature prevented me from saying goodbye to him. So when my grandma called a few days ago to tell me she had been diagnosed with cancer, I wasn't going to let her stop me from visiting. It's been 10 years, Grandma, and nothing has happened to me. We don't even know if this thing is real. I'm not going to let it stop me from seeing you.
I swore.
If you say so, dear. I love you, Grandma. I'll see you soon. Like this video if it gave you the chills, and don't forget to subscribe to...
Man, that better be a joke at the end when I know Sapphire adding she like to add some edits in hers. But like well, that's the end of this one, but like forget it. I'm gonna do another one. It's only, yeah, I forgot, they're short. Which one y'all think I should do? I think I should have gone on live. I don't know if I want to. This one seems interesting.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Greg. Listen, it's becoming a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, okay.
Hey,
No!
Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary? Welcome back. As a thank you for helping us reach over 900,000 subscribers, I hope you enjoy this special new episode while we continue to work on some exciting new projects for something scary. So make sure you subscribe to Snarled and the bell is turned on for notifications.
Sapphire!
Have you ever had an out-of-body experience or slipped into a very realistic daydream once in a while? 15-year-old Lizanne has, multiple times. But they're more than just daydreams. She believes that someone is trying to take over her body. The earliest incident Lizanne can remember was when she was 8 years old. She was cast in her school's musical about vampires. One of the musical numbers required them to form a pyramid, sort of like what cheerleaders do. Lizanne was on the second to the bottom row. She had never done anything like this before and was incredibly nervous. And then, Lizanne couldn't move. She was paralyzed. Her entire body was frozen in place. She couldn't open her mouth to call for help or wave her hand for someone's attention. Then everything began to fade to black. Lizanne was alone until a young boy appeared in front of her. He had short blonde hair and clean, semi-formal clothes. He held his hand out, motioning for Lizanne to come to him. She had never seen this boy, but felt compelled to go to him. No longer paralyzed, Lizanne stood up and ran towards the little boy, and then found herself back in the auditorium. She crashed onto the ground and rolled off the stage, her fellow cast members following the same fate. High-pitched screams filled the auditorium. Lizanne tried to stand up, but realized very quickly that her arm was broken. Are you okay? How did this happen? Lizanne's mom, Melanie, asked as she drove her daughter to the hospital. I fell during rehearsal, she said, leaving out a very important detail. Lizanne continued to have these strange blackouts and thought it would be best to not let her mother worry, so she kept them to herself. When she was 13, she was waiting at the train station alone. It was a hot day and she had a tendency to get overwhelmed by heat. A train sped by and she was engulfed in a cloud of hot air. She started to feel faint. Then everything around her turned black.
Not again.
She was back in that familiar void. That same blonde boy appeared a few dozen feet in front of her. What are you doing over there? Get over here. The train's coming. Hurry. In a daze, Lizanne began to walk towards the boy. Until she felt someone grab her from the back. Lizanne snapped back into reality, just as a train whipped past, narrowly missing her nose. Are you trying to get yourself killed? Pay attention. The summer after that incident, Lizanne and her friends were hanging out at the nearby lake. They were laying out on their towels.
Now that's a dirty move. That is a dirty move. Oh, that's dirt, man. That's wrong. Oh, thank God she didn't, she was so close.
By the water and joking around. And then her friend said a word that triggered something inside of Lizanne. She doesn't remember exactly what her friend said, but she remembers her body just stopped working.
No.
She closed her eyes and saw a face.
No.
With no eyes and no nose.
No.
Just a smile. Like the Cheshire Cat, but much more evil. She reopened her eyes and found herself in the middle of the lake. Lizanne didn't know how to swim. She started flailing her arms and legs around in a panic, trying to stay above water. Her friend jumped in and was able to pull her safely ashore.
Wait, how's she?
After everyone had calmed down, Lizanne turned to her friends. What just happened? You started mumbling really weird things, and then you stood up, turned around, and screamed at us, and said that you were going to kill yourself. And then you jumped into the lake.
That kind of scared me.
I don't remember any of that. These blackouts were starting to get much more serious. Lizanne had kept these incidences from her mother because she didn't want her to worry, but something very strange was happening, and Lizanne had to know why.
But it'll
Mom,
get worse though if you don't tell.
I have to tell you something.
Oh.
Lizanne began to tell her mom about all the blackouts, and her eyes became wide with terror.
She knows.
Lizanne thought it was because she didn't believe her. They sat in silence for a few moments. Melanie took a deep breath. I was right. I was right this whole time. Melanie had sworn that she wouldn't tell her daughter about what happened when she was younger. But after hearing the fear in her daughter's voice, she knew it was time. When Lizanne was small, she was very close with her great-grandfather on her mother's side, which is her Indonesian side. Indonesians believe in the concept of Ru. It is the spirit that continues to exist long after the physical body has gone. It is far beyond human understanding and a very ingrained belief in Indonesia. So Lizanne's great-grandfather told her stories of Rue to help her cope with the fact that he would physically be leaving her soon. And that day came when Lizanne turned 4. Despite the comforting stories her great-grandfather told her, she was still upset and missed him dearly. Melanie began to worry about her daughter's well-being as she noticed that she was more emotionally closed off than before. So every night she would take a peek inside her room to check on her. Most nights she'd be muttering gibberish through tears under her breath. But some nights she wasn't in her bed because she was sleepwalking. There are a few times when Melanie walked into Lizanne's room to find her sitting on the ground, surrounded by her dolls and stuffed animals. She'd be having a full-on conversation with them while her eyes were shut. While it was always a bit of a shock, nothing compared to the time when she found Lizanne standing at her open bedroom window, reaching in front of her crying, "Grandpa!"
What the?
Melanie rushed over to her daughter and pulled her from the ledge. "Lizanne, what were you doing?"
I was going to Grandpa.
While Melanie was incredibly superstitious, Lizanne's father, Ryan, was not. Melanie insisted that they take her to a priest to make sure something otherworldly was not going on. But Ryan shut the idea down. Instead, he took her to a psychiatrist who explained that Lizanne's behavior was completely normal for a young, grieving child. So after that visit, Lizanne's parents agreed to never bring this up again. Without telling Ryan, Melanie took Lizanne to the nearby church. They told the priest what had been going on, and he explained the situation. When Lizanne's great-grandfather died, she became susceptible to spiritual attack. The Rue of a young boy saw this opportunity and attached himself to Lizanne. He waits until she's emotionally vulnerable and tricks her into harming herself. His goal is to have her join him in the spirit world. "Can you get rid of him?" Melanie begged. "I'm sorry, but I cannot. You're too late."
Oh.
"What do you mean?" "You waited too long. He has been attached to your daughter for so long that to get rid of him would mean getting rid of her."
What? What you mean?
"I am so sorry."
Not again. Don't do it.
A very special thank you
What
to Lizanne from the
happened?
Netherlands for sharing this story with me. What do you think the future holds for Lizanne?
I
Tell me
don't
what
know.
you think in the comments below. Like this video if it gave you the chills. And don't forget to subscribe to Snarled. We're so close to 1 million subscribers, so if you like our content,
No, I'm really curious what happened next. Okay, why would you think it's a good idea when you know your child is odd and you're going to bring her to the freaking psychiatrist thinking it's going to help? But then, no, of course, the psychiatrists think they know everything. It's just normal for kids their age. You know, they're going to start acting crazy, you know. No, you need a professional. You need a professional. Why don't you get a psychiatrist? Psychiatrists want help. And, oh, my God. People like that, man. I mean, they waited so long. You need to take it. No, don't take it to the psychiatrist. And then they waited too long, and then they too late. No. Oh, I hate hearing stories like that. The parents killing me, bro. Oh, okay. Well, that's all for this channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, I'll follow you back, and I'll put the description down below. And let me know what else y'all want me to do. Recommend me, and I'll give you a shout out. So as of all, say later, my little nightmares. Peace.